The Golden State Warriors are still waiting. LeBron James has yet to make his free agency decision, and the franchise continues to build its offseason strategy around the possibility that the four-time MVP says yes to San Francisco, while much of the attention stays on the headline pursuit. There's a quieter roster question developing behind the scenes, one that could determine whether Golden State is truly built to compete the moment James walks through the door. Hey, what's up, everyone? Before we jump into everything today, that like button right there is what decides if this video hits hundreds or thousands of people. 1 second is all it takes, but the impact on this channel is massive. Go ahead and hit that like button right now. Seriously, it's the simplest thing you can do. And honestly, the best way to back this content up because every single like pushes this further. So hit it now. If the Warriors land James, the expectation across the league is that they will also bring back Draymond Green, locking in one of the most experienced cores in NBA history. With those two additions, Golden State would carry 13 players under contract, including 3 centers in Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford, and Charles Bassey, plus a group of forwards large enough to play the power forward spot James himself Green, Wee Santos, and rookie Axel Lendeborg. On paper, that sounds like enough big man depth, but according to NBA insider Jake Fisher, speaking on a Bleacher Report livestream, it might not be. Fisher reported that veterans Kelly Olynyk and Georges Niang could very well be on the radar for the Golden State Warriors if the franchise secures an assurance from James about his intentions. The reasoning is straightforward. The Warriors lost backup center Quinton Post to the Memphis Grizzlies this offseason, thinning out their depth at the position. Given the age and injury history of both Porzingis and Horford, the front office may feel that Bassey alone is not a reliable enough safety net behind the starters. Of the two names Fisher mentioned, Olynyk is the more compelling option. The 35-year-old big man is coming off a limited role with the San Antonio Spurs, where he didn't see much action last season. But zoom out over the 3 seasons prior and the picture improves considerably. Olynyk averaged 9.4 point bounds and 3.9 assists per game while shooting 53.4% from 39.7% from 3 and 80.9% from the free throw line. Those are not backup center numbers. Those are the numbers of a skilled, versatile offensive piece who knows exactly how to play within a system. What makes Olynyk particularly attractive for Golden State is his stylistic fit. He plays much more like Porzingis and Horford than Bassey does. He can step out to the 3-point line, make reads out of the pick and roll, and move the ball in ways that keep the offense flowing. Over the last 9 seasons, Olynyk has posted a positive offensive net rating swing in 8 of them, a remarkable level of consistency for a player in a complementary role. Playing alongside a ball handler and playmaker like LeBron James, those skills would translate immediately. The spacing argument alone is significant. James is at his best when surrounded by players who can shoot and move. The kind of floor spacing that forces defenses to make impossible choices. Bassey, for all his value as a physical presence and rebounder, does not offer that same shooting gravity. Olynyk does, and on a veteran minimum contract, he would represent outstanding value relative to what he brings. The risks are real, though. Olynyk has played just 86 games over the last 2 seasons combined, a number that raises serious health questions. Signing him to a standard contract and then watching him go down with an injury at a critical moment would be a significant problem, especially considering the Warriors already expect to be without Jimmy Butler and Moses Moody for portions of the 2026-27 season. Golden State simply cannot afford to stack injury-prone players onto a roster already navigating absences. There are other paths the Warriors could explore. One involves Graham Ike, the young big man who turned heads during Summer League, averaging 10.0 points and 7.2 rebounds per game. The team could use a 2-way contract to keep Ike around and activate him when they need a third center option. The risk there, of course, is uncertainty about how Ike would perform against seasoned NBA competition night after night. The most exciting possibility, trading for Anthony Davis after landing James, remains largely out of reach for now. The Washington Wizards have shown no willingness to move Davis, and any asking price could be impossibly steep. That option will be explored in a separate story. What's becoming clear is that Golden State's center depth question will not solve itself. Whether it's Olynyk, Ike, or another option the front office has not yet revealed, the Warriors need to find a reliable 4th big man before the season starts. If LeBron James is coming, they owe him a complete roster. One factor that hasn't been discussed enough is how Olynyk's playmaking would complement the Warriors' existing ball movers. Golden State's offense under head coach Steve Kerr has always thrived on player movement, ball reversals, and the threat of the 3-pointer. Olynyk fits that blueprint precisely. He can operate from the elbow, hit mid-range pull-ups, and find cutters in traffic, skills that have defined the Warriors' identity for over a decade. Adding him would not be a departure from the team's core offensive philosophy. It would be an extension of it. The front office is weighing every option carefully, and this one deserves serious consideration. Jonathan Kuminga's time with the Golden State Warriors is over, and his next chapter is being written somewhere else. The question now is where, and more importantly, which landing spot gives the young forward the best chance to finally become the player many scouts still believe he can be. The Warriors moved on from Kuminga at last season's trade deadline, sending him and Buddy Hield to the Atlanta Hawks in exchange for Kristaps Porzingis. The deal made basketball sense for Golden State, but it also put Kuminga in a difficult position, heading to a team that didn't have room to feature him in any meaningful starting role. Kuminga didn't start a single game after arriving in Atlanta, averaging 10.2 points and shooting 42.1% from the field while playing 21.1 minutes per night in limited appearances for the Hawks. Now, things have gotten more complicated. Atlanta declined the player option in Kuminga's contract for the 2026-27 season, the same option the Warriors had baked into the original deal. That decision makes Kuminga a free agent, and it has reopened the debate across the league about what he is really worth and where he belongs. According to NBA reporter Michael Scotto of HoopSite, at least 5 teams have shown serious interest in Kuminga on a short-term basis: the Hawks, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Los Angeles Clippers. Each represents a very different opportunity, and not all of them are equally beneficial for a player trying to prove himself. For a stretch, the Lakers were viewed as the front runners. Kuminga returning to Los Angeles would generate attention, and there's a case for it on paper. The Lakers could offer him a starting role, but the fit raises real questions. With Walker Kessler providing little floor spacing in the front court and Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic dominating the ball, Kuminga's role in Los Angeles could be narrowed significantly, instead of being unleashed as the slashing creation forward many believe he can become. He might end up playing a more traditional rebounding and defensive role, limiting his growth precisely when he needs to break free from the restrictions of his Warriors years. Cleveland is another option on the table, but the picture there is similarly constrained, even without Dean Wade, who departed for the Philadelphia 76ers. The Cavaliers' front court is still anchored by Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, 2 established starters. Naquan Tomlin has also emerged as a reliable option off the bench, further tightening the rotation. There simply isn't a clear path for Kuminga to get the featured role he needs in Cleveland. Atlanta, his most recent employer, remains in the picture as well, but as long as Jalen Johnson is on the Hawks roster, the opportunity for Kuminga to start and play heavy minutes simply doesn't exist there either. That leaves the Milwaukee Bucks and the Los Angeles Clippers as the most interesting suitors, and the strongest case for Kuminga's long-term development. Milwaukee is in full rebuild mode following the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade. Their roster has significant open space, and it's difficult to argue that any current player on the Bucks is truly irreplaceable. Even with Tyler Herro in the mix, Kuminga would have real freedom to operate as a primary ball handler, score off drives, and show the kind of versatility that was often buried under the Warriors system. The Bucks need a new identity, and Kuminga could be a core piece of one. The Clippers offer a similar rebuild stage scenario, assuming the Kawhi Leonard trade is finalized before the start of the season. Los Angeles projects to have Rui Hachimura as their starting power forward. Hachimura is a quality player and a legitimate three-point threat, but Kuminga would enter that situation with a genuine chance to compete for and win a starting spot as the rebuild takes shape. That kind of opportunity, open competition on a team without entrenched stars, is exactly what Kuminga needs right now. The core question about Kuminga has never truly been answered. If given consistent minutes in a featured role on a team built around him, can he grow into an elite slashing forward? His physical tools are undeniable. His athleticism, finishing ability, and defensive potential remain factors that keep teams interested. He simply never got the runway in Golden State, and Atlanta offered only a partial glimpse. A clean start with the Bucks or Clippers could finally provide the answer the NBA has been waiting for since he was drafted out of the G League. It is also worth noting that the Lakers, Hawks sign, and trade talks have reportedly stalled. Both sides are struggling to agree on the contractual structure needed to make a deal work, which opens the door further for Milwaukee and Los Angeles' other franchise to move to the front of the line. Kuminga is young enough and talented enough that whichever team lands him is taking a legitimate chance on upside, not a charity signing. The Warriors made their choice at the deadline, and now the rest of the league gets to decide if they left value on the table. All signs point to yes, and Kuminga's next destination will be crucial in proving that point once and for all. The Golden State Warriors have a vision. They want LeBron James, they want Draymond Green, and if everything goes according to plan, They want Anthony Davis too, a trio of stars alongside Stephen Curry that would instantly make Golden State one of the most powerful rosters in the Western Conference. The problem is that Washington doesn't want to cooperate. According to NBA reporter Michael Scotto of Hoopsite, the Washington Wizards are not entertaining trade offers for Davis. Despite Golden State being previously identified as a possible destination when the superstar pairing narrative first gained traction, the Wizards have reportedly pushed back against any and all inquiries. That's a major roadblock for a Warriors franchise still waiting on James' free agency decision and openly building its offseason strategy around the possibility of pairing him with a dominant big man. The Warriors' interest in Davis is not hard to understand. He is one of the most skilled big men in the league when healthy. A player who can score in the post, space the floor from mid-range, protect the rim, and run pick and roll action at an elite level. Pairing him with Stephen Curry and LeBron James would give Golden State a lineup that rivals anything in the NBA. But Washington has made its position clear, and the numbers suggest the Wizards have real reasons to hold firm. Davis is owed $58.5 million next season and holds a player option worth $62.8 million for the 2027-28 campaign. Those are significant figures, and the Wizards appear prepared to honor that commitment. According to Scotto's reporting, Washington plans to open contract extension discussions with Davis once he becomes extension eligible on August 6, a timeline that signals the franchise views him as a cornerstone, not a trade chip. The Wizards have been building quietly and with a clear plan. They just signed Trae Young to a 4-year, $212 million contract, making him the offensive engine around which their rebuild is structured. Their first overall pick in the 2026 draft, AJ Dybantsa, is the long-term foundational piece. And in a move that briefly sparked speculation about a Davis departure, Washington recently acquired center Dondrit Ayton. But rather than signaling an exit for Davis, NBA insiders Mark Stein and Jake Fisher both reported that the Wizards actually intend to play Davis and Ayton together in the frontcourt next season. The Ayton acquisition was about adding depth and versatility, not clearing a path for Davis to leave. That context strips away much of the optimism Warriors fans may have been holding about a 3-star trade package materializing in San Francisco. Golden State's ask is enormous. Washington's answer, at least right now, is no. Davis himself is also in a complicated position. He was limited to just 20 games during the 2025-26 season, all of them with the Dallas Mavericks before a trade sent him to Washington midway through the year. In those appearances, he averaged 20.4 points, 11.1 rebounds, and 1.7 blocks per game, numbers that remind the basketball world what he can do at full strength. But the injury history has become impossible to ignore, and any team trading for him would be betting heavily on his durability. Washington seems willing to take that bet. Golden State would have to outbid a front office that already considers Davis their own. For the Warriors, the difficulty here goes beyond a single block trade. Golden State's current roster, even with Curry, Green, and Kristaps Porzingis in place, is seen as a tier below the top contenders in the Eastern Conference, including the Philadelphia 76ers and the Miami Heat. Adding James gets them competitive. Adding James and Davis could make them legitimate title contenders. Losing that second piece, however, forces the front office to look elsewhere for a dominant center capable of changing the dynamics of a playoff series. Curry and Green have been active in recruiting James personally, with Green going so far as to say he would reshape his own game entirely to accommodate the 4-time MVP. The Warriors have also leaned on geography as a selling point. James' desire to remain close to his daughter in Los Angeles makes the Bay Area a more appealing option than destinations further from home. But the Davis piece was always going to be the hardest to assemble, and Washington has made it even harder. The Warriors' super team dream is not dead, but the path to it just got significantly narrower. Golden State will need to recalibrate. If Davis is unavailable, and all current signals say he is, the front office must find a different solution to the center question. Options like Kelly Olynyk on a veteran minimum or Graham Ike on a 2-way deal represent sensible stopgap measures, but neither carries the game-changing impact of Anthony Davis. The Warriors entered this offseason swinging for the fences. Washington just moved the fence back. How Golden State responds to that reality, and whether LeBron James ultimately decides the current roster construction is worth his commitment, will define this franchise's trajectory for years to come. The clock is ticking, and the Wizards are not blinking.